What is up, my friends? So let's talk about defending Jacob and what could a season 2 possibly look like. So defending Jacob ended on pretty much what I was not expecting. So if you're familiar with the book, you know the book kinda sorta does have a definitive ending of sorts, but the TV show was kind of like up in the air and it sort of ended on a note of we could come back for a season 2 if it's good enough ratings, but if it's not good enough ratings, we can just leave it like that and it's still going to be a fine show, right? So exactly what happened in the book. So in the book there is more of a concrete ending, as I said, where everything up until the trial is sort of what happens in the book. But when they go to the trip in Mexico, in the book, they actually go to Jamaica, there's still a Hope, a girl named Hope there. There's still Hope. Well, there is no Hope actually in the book. But, anyways, there is a girl named Hope in the book as well. And Jacob and her do get along and they start to have this sort of thing. And what ends up happening is she does go up missing and they end up finding her body. She actually is dead in the book. And all suspicions lead to Jacob, but not really. He still manages to get out of it all. But what happens is that Lori finds like blood on him and all of this. So her suspicions start to grow, and we see that she begins to sort of believe that he actually has a thing to do with this. And the whole car ride and all that happens in the book, but Jacob actually dies in this, and his father Andy reflects on the person he could have been if he had grown up and all of that. So that's pretty much how it ends there. So it's more of a concrete ending, whereas the series sort of finishes like, yeah, I don't know. So, what does the series want? Does the series want to continue, or is it a limited series, or what? Because we have a TV show that pretty much gave us a whole thing of a summary at the end of, yeah, Andy sort of does believe Jacob could have possibly have something to do with it now, as we see him go straight for the bottle. And I think that he is more like, whatever, I'll continue on. So where could the series go from here? And many of you saying, but it's a book, it's already had its ending and all of that. Could it actually still continue? And to that I say, in my ending explaining for Defending Jacob, I said this has happened numerous times before. We've had shows like 13 Reasons Why, where it's just one novel and they continue it on for 3 more seasons just based on what happened. Another show is Big Little Lies as well. So this definitely can keep going, and it might definitely do so because the show has been getting pretty much like positive praise throughout for its cast and its tone, its direction, all of that. And it has a pretty good amount of viewership as well, so it could definitely keep on going. But where would we go from here? I think the biggest thing we would go from here is finding out if Jacob actually did kill Ben or not, and having that all laid out would definitely be where the show, I think, would find its conclusive ending, whether it's in season 2 or they could stretch it out to season 3. And also another big question that is going to be arising from all of this is Lori like faking she doesn't remember anything, or does she remember and is choosing to suppress it because she feels like she like snapped and was about to kill her own child? That's a big question right there, which I think is definitely going to be something that's going to be looked at in the next season. And will Jacob also remember what happened like in those final moments before that led him to the hospital? And how will that affect the dynamic? At this point I think Andy just feels like he and his whole family have fallen apart, no return. So it would be interesting to see where he goes from here. And I mean, I think that also Andy and his father's relationship needs more of a closing as well, because I do not think that Andy feels it was the right thing his father did, but I think that he also is like, if he didn't do this, what would that have meant for Jacob, like being on trial for all of this? And did Jacob actually do it as well? That's a big question right there. And the show doesn't really tell you exactly if he did or did not, just sort of like how the book doesn't either. But it does sort of guide you in that direction. Like, Jacob did have more to do with this than he's letting on, and we're seeing it all be uncovered slowly as well. So that's going to be a pretty big question that has to be answered through all of this as well, is Did Jacob do it or not? And I think that season 2, if they do bring this about, will have that be uncovered that Pats was pretty much like forced into writing this fake suicide note. And like, what would the ramifications of all that be, right? Because they've sort of already closed the case and now they're gonna reopen it again, or what would happen, or would there be a justice be served elsewhere? That's going to be interesting, because Ben's father pretty much was like, I know that you did it, and I know all of this is like a lie, and you're just trying to get away with all of this. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, would even like opening up the trial again work? How would you go about and uncovering all of this that Andy's father orchestrated as well, especially with Father O'Leary? I don't think being somebody that's going to stick around now. And it's just interesting how they would tackle all of these things as well in the upcoming season, if there is one. So that's why I think they could definitely stretch it out to season 3 if they wanted to. But I don't know, would y'all be interested in watching that? I definitely would. I think that it was a pretty engrossing series that I was very much waiting for a grand finale. And the finale, don't get me wrong, I liked the whole show, but the finale did feel a little bit too stretched out, and it was like, oh, here we go again at the roller coaster, but nah, never mind. You know what I mean? Like, it was like heightening the tension, especially that hope part. I think the hope thing was very much like trying to hype the tension up, and just when you were getting to a peak of sorts, it brings you back down. So then the ending, you don't feel like you're on flat ground, really. I will say that the car scene with Lori and Jacob was pretty intense as well. Some pretty solid acting right there. So I would be excited to see all of these actors come back and try to wrap up the story a little bit more concrete. But who knows if that's what they really want to do, or they just were always intending to leave us with this ambiguous ending. Another show that actually did leave us with a big ambiguous ending, and I don't think will be coming back actually, is Watchmen. And sometimes that's okay to do. It's okay to finish off a show with one season because it's a limited series type show. What was that show on HBO? Into the Night, in the Night, or something like that. The one with I forgot his name, the actor, but it's on HBO and it's like a crime drama. And that show was just one season, and it did end in a way where you could see it trying to go into a second season, but not really. It's just life is ongoing, and there is no concrete ending or happy ending with it. It just keeps on going. There's ups and downs, and so I think that that's maybe what Defending Jacob's trying to tell us, is that yes, we ended our viewership of what's going on with Andy and his family. That doesn't mean that's how it all going to end, but we don't see beyond that. We just see this moment in time of their life. And I think that it was just the case, the trial, all of that we were granted viewership to, right? I'm getting a little over my head with all of this. But what do you think? Should this show come back for a season 2? And what do you think should happen? As I said, I think if they do come back for a season 2, most of it is going to be revolving around uncovering what Andy's father and Father O'Leary did. And I think that would be like half of the season to uncover something like that. And then the other half would probably be the interest in Jacob reopening again and maybe having another trial of sorts. And then that's where you end season 2 right there, leading into a season 3. So you see, they could really stretch this out even further into a season 3 if they wanted to, and if the show does end up having the viewership it needs. But those are just my theories, my thoughts on how they can continue it. I'm okay with this ambiguous ending as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not somebody who cries because I'm trying to get more out of a show, because if you milk the cow too much, it's not going to be good, So whatever they want to do, we'll find out pretty soon, I'm sure. But in the meantime, what are your thoughts? What are your concerns of a season 2? Or did you not like season 1? I hear a lot of people talk about how it did drag, and I will admit it did drag in the middle a little bit. They could have cut out 2 episodes and not stretch it out too much, and it would have been just perfect, like chef's kiss, But that's just my thoughts and my opinions on that. Anyways, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? We talk all your favorite shows, movies, music, video games, all that stuff. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you share with all your friends who are fans of Defending Jacob, or just any other TV show series you're watching. Let me know what else are y'all watching as well on streaming, all of that. I'm going to be checking out this show called Beetle or Betal. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a show on Netflix about zombies, so expect a video pretty soon on that. Also, my Control Z Season 2 video is coming out as well, and as well as my Never Have I Ever. So tune in for all of those, and as always, stay safe, stay positive.